called to order at 7 p.m. by James Morone. A quorum of the board members was established. Present were Don Hanson, Jeff Yatsinek, Linda Suddick, Tricia Miner, and James Morone. Also present was Vanessa Martinez from Leland Management. Proof of notice. The meeting was posted to the entrance message board in the community clubhouse 48 hours in advance of the meeting. Approved prior meeting minutes. Meeting minutes were read by Ms. Martinez. Mr. Morone advised that there should be a correction to the minutes under the new business collections to read. After a discussion, Mr. Morone made a motion to transfer all the pending collection accounts if the board decided to change association attorneys. Mr. Morone made a motion to approve the December 3rd, 2013 meeting minutes pending the correction. The motion was seconded by Mrs. Miner. All in favor, motion passed unanimously. Management update financial. Mr. Martinez reviewed the management report and delinquencies. Mr. Yatsinek gave a brief update of the final status of the community. Suspend rights for collection. A list of the accounts delinquent more than 30 days was submitted to the board. Mr. Morone made a motion to approve the suspension of the attached list. The motion was seconded by Mr. Hanson. All in favor, motion passed. Reports of task force. Pool resurfacing. Mr. Hanson opened up his discussion by talking to all the people who assisted with the project. The project was completed. Total cost was $74,336.23. The kiddie pool has failed inspection due to chemical imbalance. The board asked that the pool maintenance company should make sure that this is resolved. Reports of committee. Website. Mr. Hanson asked that the 2014 approved budget and the meeting agendas for 2013 be uploaded to the website. CCR documents. Mr. Hanson advised that there was nothing new to report. Landscaping. Mrs. Suddick provided an update regarding the lawn maintenance and the irrigation repair report. After a brief discussion about fire ant treatment, top choice, the board will approve this once irrigation repairs. Mrs. Suddick made a motion to approve the irrigation repair proposal by Larry Evans. The motion was seconded by Mrs. Miner. All in favor, motion carried. Social committee. Mrs. Suddick provided a brief update. Old business. Security. After a brief discussion, Mr. Yatsinek made a motion to send a 30-day cancellation notice to Global Shield Protection. The motion was seconded by Mr. Morone. All in favor, motion carried. Mrs. Suddick made a motion to approve to sign the Orange County Deputy contract pending there are no issues with Shield Global cancellation. The motion was seconded by Mr. Yatsinek. All in favor, motion carried. Pool slide. Mr. Morone answered a few questions from the board regarding the quote he obtained. Mr. Hanson mentioned that he's also doing some research regarding the pool slides. This will be discussed at the next meeting as county code and permitting for slides will be further investigated. Collection policy. Attorney Brian Hess from Clinton McCullough will be sending the revised draft to the manager. New business. Association attorney. After a brief discussion, Mr. Yatsinek made a motion to have Brian Kozlowski, referred attorney, review the association's documents for his opinion. The motion was seconded by Mrs. Suddick. Mr. Morone and Mr. Hanson voted yes. Ms. Miner voted no. The majority voted yes. Motion passed. Upcoming election. The election process was discussed. No motion was made. Mr. Morone will contact Neil McCullough to ask for his advice on how to proceed with the 2014 election. Without further questions from the homeowners and additional comments from the board of directors meeting was adjourned at 9:35 p.m.
Thank you very much. Welcome everybody to our meeting today. And what we'd like to do today is we're just... Oh, sure. Yes, I'm sorry.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes, but there's got to be a correction. Page 1, okay, 2014, January 2014.
Oh, I will second that motion. Sorry. I'll make the correction.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're going to approve the minutes for the closing meeting. All of those in favor of approving those meetings, I'd like to make a motion to approve those meetings. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Thank you very much. So this meeting, we'll hold off questions and comments of the meeting. We have a lot to go through on the agenda, and I promised the other board members that this would be as short as possible. I want to adhere to this promise also to them. We will have a question and comment session at the end of the meeting, time permitting. So please hold your questions until then. If anybody has signed the sign-up sheet, did anybody sign and write anything for the that they'd like to speak on? Any topics that somebody wanted to speak on?
No, just I think.
Okay.
Just a sign and sheet.
Okay, fine. We didn't. Oh, okay. Anybody check off if they want to speak on anything? I want to publicly acknowledge, and I realize that there's a dissension in the community. I wish it wasn't so, but if you look between the surface of the dissension, we all have a lot more in common than we do differences. We all care deeply about making Cypress Lakes a great place to live, and our community is truly blessed to have so many residents who care so much. Many other communities are not that fortunate as we are. Now we need to do some clarification as per the attorney. On this note, what I'd like to bring up is I want to make an announcement from the attorney. So please listen carefully to what I'm about to say, because this is important. And if you don't hear this correctly, and we'll say it again. Per our attorney's advice, when we expand the board, the 2 new positions can be filled by member voting in the April election. Also, per our attorney, James stepping down is considered a vacancy, and that should be filled by board appointment as soon as possible. So just to clarify that, in other words, the attorney stated vacancies are appointed by the board ASAP, and new positions can wait to be voted on by the members at the next election. Is everybody clear on that statement? If not, raise your hand and I will read it again.
Which members? The community or
The community. Okay? Let me run that by you again. For our attorney's advice, when we expand the board, the 2 new positions can be filled by member voting at the annual meeting, in the one that we have in April coming up. Also, for attorney, when James stepped down, this is considered a vacancy and should be filled by board appointment as soon as possible. Just to clarify this again, in other words, the attorney stated vacancies are appointed by the board as soon as possible, and new positions can wait to be voted on by the members at the next meeting, next election. Okay? Good so far? Okay, now there's a couple other things that I needed to do for the attorney. I wanted to make some clarifications. Going through the minute meetings to make sure that everything was straight and whatnot, a couple things came up and I talked to them about it. So I'd like to make a motion for clarification to the minutes of the previous meeting. And this is, the current board consists of 5 directors. I would like to make that motion. Do I have a second? Any discussion?
Wait, repeat that, I'm sorry.
Okay, this is a motion for clarification to the minutes from previous meetings. This is to clarify that the current board consists of 5 directors. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? I'd like to make the second clarification. This is a motion for clarification to the minutes of a previous meeting. In addition to the 2 directors to the board, they will be filled at the 2014 annual member meeting election. This will bring the total board members to 7. Now we want to go ahead and fill the vacant board position. Now I want to thank everyone who volunteered for this, to fill this vacancy. You're all highly qualified, and please don't think, if you're not selected, we do not want you. I personally would have liked to taken all of you on the board. This is one of the most difficult decisions I've ever had to make in a long time. Many other board members would be envious of Cypress Lakes, that we have so many talented people and are willing to take their time and talents and make Cypress Lakes a great place to live. I hope all of you continue to give your time and talents, and I anticipate each one of you will be on the board sometime in the future. We have a list of candidates. And what I'd like to do is have each one of you stand up, and if you feel comfortable, to give a couple minutes so we can get some last minute thoughts from you. I'm going to start with Danny Anderson.
My name is Danny Anderson, and I applied for this because I see that we have a need to fill this spot. I did so reluctantly, and we're hoping that more people would put in, and I'm very happy to see that they have. If everybody's qualified in their own manner to do what's best for the community. I think we need to go forward with what this board is going on and try to move our finances into a better position and make the amenities and the quality of life for the residents better. I think we need to work on improving safety for the residents. I think that has already begun.
Okay. Thank you, Danny. Christina Dickinson, would you like to say a few words?
I'm excited to try out for this again. I kind of put my name in the hat just because, I know that right now, we're lacking kind of with, legal experience here, and, I think I have that, and I thought that it'd be nice to just have, another opinion, when it comes to, its legal experience, and someone who can read the documents and understand them, and really understand what, the different laws are and stuff on that. But I think everyone here, like Paulette and Jamie, and everyone else, like the people who have, also chosen to kind of apply for this would be just amazing people here on the board, so I'd be happy with anyone, so.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you very much, both of you. Avi, Gail, would you like to say a few words also?
Well, a lot of you know me as Avi, a lot of you know me as Abraham. When my name is, I just want to give the board another option. I like the way this board has been working since they were voted in. I see great improvement in the community, and I'd like to try and help them continue that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Rebecca Ainani, would you like to say a few words?
My name is Rebecca Ainani, and I volunteer because I have the time and I have some knowledge of things here in the community. And I've also volunteered quite a bit helping out other current members of the board. I do feel that we have a really good board, and anybody who is chosen, I think, will fit in just right with things and help the whole community to the point that we would like to reach.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ron Kalish.
I'm Ron Kalish, and I volunteered for a position on the board because when James stepped down, I've been following along and watching and participating in a lot of the changes in the positive direction that this community has taken. And when I first heard about the vacancy, I was concerned that might change direction. So originally I volunteered in the hopes of helping to keep the continuity of the progress going. Subsequently, the other 5 or 6 people that volunteered, I'd like to say that I would be equally happy if any one of them were to get appointed to the board. And I think a vote for any one of us, I think I speak for us all, is a vote for all of us, because we're all going to remain involved and supporting.
Thank you, Ron. And Kirsten.
Hello, I'm Paulette, and I think a lot of people know me. I'm excited. I was sorry to see James resign, but I'm excited to help the board go forward. I think we've had some great accomplishments, and I would like to help with that. I love saving money and helping save money. I'm a bookkeeper, so I just felt like that I had a little bit to offer the community. So I thought I'd put my name in again. And I love the forward. I love what we've been doing. I think it's just fantastic. So it makes me happy to live in Cypress Lakes.
Thank you. Thank you all very much for your willingness to step up, and I really do hope that all of you take this into consideration and run for the next meeting. I know we can only accept one of you and take one of you, but I really wish we could take you all. Now, what I'd like to do is go ahead and make a motion to fill that.
I'd like to say
Sure.
something, if that's okay. It's been a rough week. I thought long and hard about this, and this is my opinion, so it's not to offend anybody. With James resigning just 7 days ago, I have an issue with filling this vacant seat tonight. I strongly believe that the residents were not given sufficient notice. Way too short of notice for anyone. We have people that can be out of town, on vacation, and have no idea what's going on right now. You know, with 2 board members resigning within 5 months, I believe this is not fair to our residents. And with the March election being so close, I believe that the residents should have a vote as to who fills the vacancy.
I agree.
I realize that there's, again, a lot of dissension and a lot of disappointment in some reasons, in some cases, but basically we're trying to move along as quickly as we can, and we're trying to do the best job we've got with the resources that we have. We have 6 wonderful candidates that have stepped up, and we received one late last night, and that's all that I know. Does anybody on the board know any other candidates that have stepped up? Okay. What I would like to do is, I don't know if I need to make a motion for this, I do have some cards that we can fill out individually, and then we can get together and talk about this. If you'd like this, this makes you feel more comfortable. Okay. We would like to have, and then we can pass these down if you want, or we can talk about them. There was Orlando Vila applied and he had dropped out. Does anybody on the audience want to answer that?
Yes, when does the term, do you appoint right now, when does the term expire?
It will expire when James is going to expire, it's going on for another 14 months.
So, but if you wait till March, you elect, that's maybe 45 days away. So what's the hurry?
The hurry is we're under legal constraint, like I had mentioned with the attorney, that when a board member vacancy comes up, that you appoint.
What emergency?
What is the time frame that the bylaws or anything states that it has to be appointed by? Because no one has mentioned that at all. You're saying that it needs to be appointed, but there's no deadline on which it needs to be appointed by. And I think that's where people have concerns with. That literally we went in and voted last March. However, we're looking at the fact that we're looking at 40% of our board wasn't voted by the members of the community of 1,268 homes, whereas 60% was.
You have to remember that we're under some legal constraints.
What is the legal timeline? You're not getting
What is the constraint?
What is the constraint if there's no timelines?
Hey, one at a time.
One at a time. There is a legal constraint that we're working with to appoint someone as soon as possible. That's just the way it is. And our bylaws say the same thing. Our bylaws do not contain how to do this, but state law and the attorney says get it done as soon as you possibly can.
And what is that as soon as possible? As soon as possible can be so many different
As soon as
combinations.
possible to me means as soon as possible, that's why we're here.
soon as possible could be next month's meeting.
No,
My
this
turn.
is right now. This is what
Okay.
what we decided to do.
So it's what you're deciding on, not the community?
Yes.
And that's the problem. And if there's no timeline, then how are you under legal constraint?
What we need to do is take everything into consideration that you guys are talking about. Now, we've lost
But you're not
3
doing that.
directors. Excuse me, we've lost 3 directors in 14 months. That's not a real good number. There's things that we need to do as a board, we need to do as a community to recognize that there's some problems in this. So what we need to do is, if you're interested, and we are, we need to change our documents to reflect how we want to handle this when this case arises again. But for this point in time, this is what we have decided to do. We've got the attorney's backing, and that's why we're here tonight. I'll take one more question, sir.
Okay, well, if you said that we've lost 3 members in 14 months, and the ones that are left are going to be picking the new one, they were part of the problem with the ones that left.
Well, we don't know that. There is no evidence at all of that.
How much does it help to have a full board? Does it matter if you lose one? Or do you have a full workload? Will it help you to fill this tonight?
We have to have an odd number.
Would it help? Okay.
Yes, yes.
I'm for you guys doing what you have to do.
Okay,
If it's
one
tonight,
more, and then
fine.
we're going to nominate. Yes.
I don't know if it's possible, but is it possible for you to have an interim director board position and then have them go up for election again?
No. No. It's not in the bylaws. The bylaws strictly state when there's a vacancy, we appoint. When we have new positions, we elect. When the term is over, we elect.
If the old board had done this, everybody would have had a fit.
It was done.
It was actually done, I didn't agree with it then.
Well, hang on, hang on. Let's calm down, calm down. Calm down. This was done once before, and you're right. The old board selected someone, and then when we came into the board meeting, they were sitting there, and they nominated that person, and moved on. We're trying to do a little bit more than that. We're trying to recognize that we do have a board vacancy. We put the notice out to as many people as we could. We didn't mail it out. We don't have to do that. We don't even have to do what we're doing tonight. Make it very clear. We do not even have to do this. And we're trying to do this for you guys. Thank you for Thank you very much.
Sitting there and like, that's an eyesore if you think about it. I mean, I'm sorry. You're in the villages, right? You were doing all that work on your house. You put in a pool? You got a good south roof too. You put those panels on there to keep the school running. But then during winter,
select a candidate, and I'm going to make a motion right now to select a candidate. Do I have a second for that? For that motion? I'm making a motion to select a candidate tonight. Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, the candidate that's been selected by the board has been Paulette. Thank you very much, Paulette. Thank you for the board for making that decision. I'd like to thank all the other candidates. For stepping up. I hope that you keep this energy going for the next election coming up. Thank you very much.
Can I say something? I would like to see every one of you with your name on there to do it like that in March. I really, really would. So please think about it. April now, it's going to be.
Yes,
Yes.
just saying that.
Okay. Now for the hard part. Next item is the selecting new president. Now this would be going to be by nomination, and I'm going to tell you that I have really enjoyed the duty of the president for the last week or so. However, filling this position this last week has shown me that I cannot give this job my 100%. Due to my current workload of my paying job. You all deserve better than what I can give now. Since most of the board members have full-time jobs or children, it would not be fair, and it would not be fair for a new board member to assume these same duties. So the only one of us that I can think of is the one that's retired. He has the time, knowledge, expertise, and I'd like to nominate Linda Suda for the presidency. Do I have a second for that nomination? That's true. You have a second?
I'm sure you don't want to do this.
And it's very difficult. If you do not accept that, yes.
You're in trouble. Okay, I will. I accept.
Thank you. So I make a motion for Linda Suda. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
We can't abstain at the boards will be about. It's to continue to be vice president.
Yes. I'll be the vice president. Secretary is the same, and treasurer. Are we all good with that? Okay. Let me add this, that at any time the board can change officers. This is not a forever type thing. If we run into trouble and we see that this isn't working out, Jeff gets tired of being the treasurer, Jeff gets tired of being the secretary, we can change at any time at any board meeting. This is not permanent. Congratulations, Linda. We hope. We will certainly share in getting you up to speed. I know James has offered his willingness to support us too. And we have legal management and, of course, the attorneys. It's It's a very difficult and time-consuming job. I'm sure we'll get through it. Thank you very much. Now we have a couple more things on the agenda. We have a motion. I'd like to see if we have a motion from our directors to hire Orange County deputy for board meetings. We have Michelle Robinson tonight, security reasons, safety of not only residents here, but for board members too. Do I have a motion to hire a Orange County deputy for the board meetings?
I'm sorry? Did you need a motion? Just a motion.
Do I have a second? Do not have a second. Motion has been denied. Motion has been denied. The next thing I'd like to say is that we can implement a sergeant at arms for board meetings. And let me just describe some of the details of sergeant at arms. Sergeant at arms is under the direction of the presiding officers. Main duties are to have order and decorum among the members and all the persons present at the meeting, and may even expel a person from a meeting for motion of the board and vote of the board. Then it would be duly noted also. He or she may act as a doorkeeper and is responsible for admitting eligible persons to the meeting. This person can be an off-duty officer, Orange County Sheriff Deputy, or even a resident. It is a volunteer position. So I'd like to make a motion to adopt a sergeant at arms for our board meetings. I would like to make that motion. Do I hear a second? Any discussion?
Well, as far as like responsibility of this person, say there's, there's an outcry, and so they're basically going to be responsible for quelling the noise and calming everybody down, sort of thing.
Yes.
Okay.
They're not
And you
allowed
think
to
it's a good
touch.
idea for a resident to be doing that?
They can
That
do.
lives in here? You don't think it's better to have someone outside?
That would be, let's say that we pick one, and that person is absent for that meeting, and we didn't have anybody in the audience that was a sheriff deputy or a police officer or anything else, then we might have to go down to a resident. But
I
still-
think it'd be the best interest to have someone who doesn't live in here.
Well, people that don't live here can't be at the board meetings. It's a volunteer position.
Question?
And I know going through Orange County that they have dispatch and everything else, so we have to actually hire someone to do that if they're not the resident.
Volunteers, are you aware of any volunteers?
Yes,
I have a question, not a volunteer. What's the, you had mentioned expulsion of people. What is the procedure around that?
I'm sorry, James.
You said up to and including expulsion of a person from community property. What is the procedure around that?
What I have read, and maybe Michelle and this is Officer Robinson can expound on it. Normally what happens if somebody gets out of order, the president or the presiding officer would tell that person to calm down, sit down. Now after doing that a number of times, then they would call the sergeant at arms up to try to intercede in that. At that particular time, the board would make a motion to have that person removed. And the sergeant at arms would actually escort without touching that person outside. If that doesn't work, then we dial 911.
Okay.
You vote on it.
And we vote on it. It has to be a motion, and we have to vote. Okay? All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. We will now have a sergeant at arms. I do have one volunteer for sergeant at arms. I'd like to ask that person, Danny, would you be willing to accept the sergeant at arms position?
Up to the next annual meeting, and then have it revisited at that point. We'll give you a little time to find someone that has a selection of the entire board you can come up with. For the next couple of months, yes.
Well, thank you, Danny. I'd like to nominate Danny for your sergeant at arms. Do I have a second for that? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Danny, if you don't mind, can you take a seat and bring it up here and sit next to Tricia? Next thing I'd like to pass out very quickly so we can get to some questions and answers. What I amendment. Okay. And we are not going to read this whole thing here today. I just want to bring your attention to the last page, page 4. And since we had the last election, there was still some problems and some bugs that we wanted to get out of the system. So what we're doing is we're trying to work very diligently, and we came up with what's called rules and regulations. Now, if you look at the last page, page 4, under paragraph E, rules and regulations, the board shall establish such other rules and regulations to deem it appropriate to conduct the election in a fair, efficient, and cost-effective manner. So what we've done is kind of thought through the process of what was good, what was bad, what we need to change. And I came up with these rules and regulations as a starting point. And what I did is I went through the amendment to find out everything that may not have been in there or wasn't clear. And then we can change some of the procedures that we got. So what I'd like you guys to do is read through the amendment and then look at the rules and regulations that I've set forth so far and see if you'd like to make any changes or alterations to it. The plan is to get that back to me by email. I think I sent you this stuff by email. And by next Friday. If I don't hear back from you next Friday, I'll consider it that you guys are okay with this. Then I want to take this to the meeting on February, and then we'll make a motion to send this to the attorney to make sure that we're not doing something wrong in these rules and regulations that are in violation with the amendment or our other documents.
So you're only making changes to the rules and regulations?
We are not making changes to the rules and regulations. We are adding rules and regulations to the existing amendment that to make it clear.
So you're making changes to amendment?
No, we're not making changes to the amendment. Listen very carefully. We are going by paragraph E on the last part of this amendment, which says, the rules and regulations. The board shall establish such rules and regulations it deems appropriate to conduct the election in a fair, efficient, and cost-effective manner. So these are items that we've added to this amendment via that paragraph to make it clearer and more concise, things that were not clear in this. This is a procedure on what we're going to do. And that's, I just want to make sure that everybody's in agreement with what we have so we can take some time to look at it so we're prepared by the next board meeting. And then we'll make a motion to send this to the attorney, make sure that we haven't done anything wrong. What we're trying to do is get even a better election process than we even had before. So we're trying to be proactive with this.
Will we see the residents excited with this?
I'm sorry?
Those changes?
Will they see the changes?
No, the residents may get to see the proposed changes that you're...
Oh, yeah, sure. We'll distribute it out and everything else, yeah. Most of the changes you're going to see is on the ballot. Because a lot of these things pertain to the ballot, the envelopes, and the process.
Okay, so, I mean, before you vote on it, the residents get to see the language that you're proposing after your vote.
Can you post it on the website or on
Sure.
Facebook or something?
Thanks, ma'am.
Okay, so that's kind of the homework. Any questions on that, guys?
Yes, I do.
Sure.
What is, first of all, I don't see on here that you are to provide the mail-in ballot. So I know that's required, but.
Which one are you looking at? We've got 10 items on here, Trish. Which item are you looking at?
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned that isn't.
Now remember, these are things that are in addition to the current.
So when are you sending this off to Neil?
We want to make sure that we are not trying to overcompensate or violate the existing amendment that's been made. In other words, we're trying to...
Okay, when is this going off to our lawyer, Neil?
After we review it on the February meeting, then we'll make a motion if we want to send this to the attorney.
Wait, I have a question though. The only 2012 amendments that you made was the one that had a spreader.
So isn't this something that we should be distributing to the residents to know when it's out here?
Let's get it straight first. This, which one are you looking at? We're looking at this.
Yes, that's what
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So when are you going to give the residents a chance to look at
They
this?
can look at it, but this is for the board.
Because
Let me read this one more time. Rules and regulations. The board shall establish such other rules and regulations it deems appropriate to conduct the election in a fair, efficient, and cost-effective manner. Now, once we determine that, we'll take it to the attorney to make sure that we haven't done any other violations against the current amendment or against our current documents. If the attorney agrees with it, then we send it out to the residents.
So the attorney gives the okay.
Yes,
So,
trying to get Neil's okay to make sure we haven't violated anything in our amendments, or especially this amendment. Just to make the process a little easier and a little better for the residents when they actually vote.
Done.
All right, do you understand? Any other questions?
Okay, so John, okay, step one, the whole board's going to review this document, okay? We're going to provide feedback.
Correct.
By the next meeting.
Yes. No, by next Friday.
By next Friday.
So we can prepare this for the next meeting.
All right, so that's January 24th, put it on your
Yes.
calendars, we got to get it back in by then, okay?
Right.
And that's step one.
Mhm.
Okay, step two is we're going to get it to the attorney.
Right.
And how quickly is he going to turn it? Do we want to have his review and approval done by the time we meet again? For the February meeting?
And no, for February, we'll send it to the attorney, and then we'll have a 3-day turnaround.
Before the meeting or after the meeting?
Well, we can do it before if you want to do that. If you give me all your feedback, then we can send it off to the attorney.
Well, we're going to have
motion.
like 10 days.
Okay.
By the next Friday's the 24th.
Right.
And our next meeting is what? 4th? Yeah, we got plenty of time. That's 11 days. You can turn it around in 11 day
Okay.
time frame,
Well,
right?
let's do that. On the 24th, then we will send this to Leland, we'll send it to the attorney. So the motion is to go ahead and correct this as best as we can, get our collaboration on it, and then by the 24th, and then on Monday, the next business day, we will send it to the attorney.
Okay. That's step two. And then step three will be step three will be to provide attorney-approved procedures for all the residents.
Yes.
Okay.
and you believe you're going to get this to him to review and answer all our questions within that time?
Yep. We'll give him 3
Does
days.
he know of this?
He's not going to answer any questions. We're going to provide John with whatever questions, and we're going to have a discussion amongst ourselves, any changes and stuff we don't understand, stuff that's worded awkwardly that we don't understand. We're going to get that to Don. And he's going to have a final word that he's going to give to Neil McCullough on the shortly after the 24th.
Yeah, we'll have a final version that we pass around. By the 24th, we should be done. Go to Leland, and it's going to the attorney to make sure that we didn't do anything in these rules and regulations that violate this amendment or our other documents, which I don't think that it should be. All we're trying to do is clarify a few things that caused issues in the last election.
Right, and we should ask him to get us his response by the following Friday. So we get him,
Wouldn't it be better for us to meet with the attorney and discuss this with him? Instead of doing all this back and forth?
They're still going to have to sit down and read it.
I just feel sorry that we get this thing over to the attorney, we give him until the following Friday, okay? You know, we give it to him by Monday, 25th, 26th, 27th. He turns it around by that Friday. 5 days is enough time. It's going to take him all about 5 minutes to review this thing. Provide any feedback, tell us what changes need to be made, and then that final version will distribute it to the residents at the next board meeting.
And again, like when we try this, we'll get better at the election process. And the next rule and regulations, we can incorporate this and rewrite this to fit these things in. So we don't know exactly where it's going to go, we got to move forward with something. Because there was some issues with the last election.
Yeah, the last election was painful. You know, they're kicking around for 3 hours just to get the results and
Well, that's-
all those procedures. That was ridiculous. Is Jeff Secret? That was long. I mean, it's not anyone's fault, but it was just the nature of the procedure.
Can I ask a question? I think maybe you guys, excuse me. Can I ask a question, Linda? How many ballots were cast in the last election?
It was only like, I think the total was like 300 and something.
300 something?
Yeah.
337? Okay. Pam and I developed a process for counting, and we can share it with you in the February meeting. And when we did our time study, we processed.
The reason why it took us so long.
Excuse me. We processed 200 in about 25. Oh, we processed 360 in 25 minutes. it was greatly improved. Of course, we're gonna need about 2 people per candidate, and we need people to move the papers around.
There are 3 people
I think
here
we-
actually.
excuse me. So we need a lot of people to do this. So we need and I can draw all this up and I'll have it by the next meeting on how this process will go.
My fear is as long as it took last time and those people, they won't want to volunteer to do it just because they
What we're gonna do is I plan on having a dry run, maybe at the clubhouse or something to test this theory out to see if it actually works. Also at the board meeting or at the annual meeting, when the meeting is running, we can select these people that are gonna do it. We'll take the same dry run information through. I think we can take about 200 ballots and give it a shot. And 200 ballots should take about 15 minutes. So we can actually have them. Okay? So we're good with that. Okay, the last thing I've got is, we had a question last time about our amendments and how the developers switched them over at that time. And this is an amendment, and what we did is Vanessa communicated back and forth with the attorney, and the attorney is still saying that everything is perfectly fine. And that's the answer that I thought we would get. Now what I'd like to do is see if you guys are in agreement to have Neil McCullough or a representative from Clayton McCullough come to a special meeting, not the regular board meeting, but a special meeting that we can have all the residents come in, and all we will do is discuss these amendments and see what it is that he's got to say. I know Christina has got some issues with this, and anybody else, maybe some of the other residents have an issue with this. So I'd like to see if you guys are interested in having Clayton McCullough come here to discuss our CNRs, how the developer did it, why he did it, why Clayton McCullough thinks it's illegal. Are you interested in having a special board meeting to do that? Well, it's going to be the same answer. They're going to say everything is fine. So if you want to spend the money to have them come here and question him to find out everything is fine from their aspect, that's good. What I would like to do is go along with Christina to take our documents over to another attorney and have that attorney come and tell us why they're wrong.
I think that would be a better use of the residents' money, to be honest with you. You know, Neil McCullough is going to give us the same spiel he did last time he was here.
It's not the spiel. The residents have the right to hear what he has to say. He is our attorney.
And he did address all residents in attendance at that board meeting when last time he was here. We're just going to get a replay of the same stuff. And why should we have him come out here for 3 hours of his time at $350 an hour, spend $1,000 of the residents' money needlessly? Why don't we get an independent opinion? I think that would be a better use of our time and resource. And apparently, this other gentleman, Kozlowski, is willing to do this for, he's willing to do this.
Yeah, they asked to come to the board. They offered it for free. And we give them their opinion.
Right. I would like to take the advice from our attorney.
Advice that we have already received once before.
Well, let me, and Tricia, what other information do you think the attorney will give them?
Well, I believe with these changes that you want to make, and once he receives all the questions and the answers, and the residents see this, I think it's fair, and I think that they should be entitled to have a meeting to discuss this with them.
Okay, so you want to include that, plus all the CCRs and everything else?
Why not? Yeah.
What if we do that after we know that there are party concerns? What if then we approach?
Well, the election's coming up, and Tricia has an issue with what we're trying to do here for the rules and regulations that we're trying to add to it. So again, do
Isn't
we
Neil
want to...
going to see this though? We're sending this to Neil,
Yes.
and he would tell us if anything is wrong
Correct.
with anything. So, I don't
Sure, but I would like, I'm sorry, if I was in the audience, and you guys were to come back to the next board and say, this is what our attorney said, blah, 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 I'd be like, you're full of crap, I don't believe you. I want to hear it from my attorney's mouth. Our own attorney that represents us to be able to ask
There's
us.
a document, you should write your opinions on paper.
Hang on. Tricia, go ahead and introduce. Go ahead.
That was it, sorry.
Was it? Okay. Linda, any comments?
Well, I think since we're already going to get an opinion from him on these changes, that should suffice. And then if we get another opinion from another attorney, in case they charge us something, you know, for that, I mean, they say they'll come for free, but there may be a charge for reviewing what we want them to review, so, I mean,
Wait a minute. Okay, we're muddying up the water here. There's two issues. Okay, one is regarding the procedures for the voting the next time around. That is what we're going to have Neil review and approve once we get our comments over to Don. That's one issue, okay? The other issue is separate and distinct. Don't cloud it up with what I just said. The other one is that we were proposing to potentially have Neil McCullough come and explain again why it was legal for the developer's amendment and change at just the day before turnover, why that was legal, okay? So you know, we already have a game plan in place to have these procedures reviewed and approved by the attorney. We were elected by the residents to make decisions on behalf of the community. You know, getting these procedures in place and getting the approval of our attorney, I think is doing our duties.
I agree.
This is not
But I
open
think
for
we may have
discussion.
questions that they should be able to ask our attorney for that. We've had problems with the past elections, so to avoid anything, give them the opportunity to be able to ask them questions, to ask our lawyer questions concerning it.
will it change, anything?
What it'll change is at least people who want to be informed on this, instead of taking our word for it, then yeah.
But they, I mean, we're on the board, so we're gonna give them the information we get. We're not gonna say false information to them.
I'm not saying you are.
Tricia, these are procedures. These are procedures. These aren't like,
They're not changing.
Neil is gonna let us know if there's anything that's pokey about it, or illegal, or screwy. He's gonna let us know that. He's gonna give us that feedback, and we just convey that to the residents. I don't see a problem with that. You know, why does he have to come
Anybody
here?
here, I mean, I'd like to hear an opinion of anybody. Would you like, do you feel a need that you feel comfortable after these are presented to ask?
By a show of hands, how many want to spend the money to have Neil come here and tell us what we may already know? Okay, I don't see any hands.
I don't like that. Yeah.
Hang on. I don't see any hands.
Well, wait, I have my hands up then, because I have one from Peggy now.
Couple minutes, yes.
Okay, so you're saying that he's just gonna go over the one amendment that we're changing for voting, or is he going to be going over all of our amendments in a whole, where we can ask questions about all the amendments that are out there? And if so, then yes, I would like to hear and be able to ask questions about the different amendments that are out there to get a better understanding, to specific why they're in place, and why certain things are allowed to happen without the input of the 1,260 homes that live here.
So you're talking about when the developer made the change to remove the voting rights? Is that what you're talking about?
I'm talking about all of the amendments out there. So, I mean, you're not just spending 3 hours speaking, you're saying, and why can't we make it 2 hours? Why does it have to be 3? Is there a minimum of 3 hours that we have to pay them for?
There's something that I would like non-council to go over with, is if you guys are even a legal board with only having 5 members. And so I would like non-council to explain to me how you guys are actually legal with only a 5-member board, and it should be 7. And that's been a very conflicting.
There's a lot of questions out there that people have that are important and should be, have the right to ask, and be informed by the lawyer that represents our
That's a
community.
whole different question.
Excuse me.
All right, folks, you know,
There was another question.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask one real quick question.
Hold it. Excuse me. I think we're going around in circles here and everything else. Why don't we get an independent attorney in here to say what is wrong with these documents? And if they will
Yeah, I think we need our current attorney on record that represents us is the one that should be.
The one who could possibly have known things and could possibly have his butt in the fire.
He's been an expert for well over 35 years. Why would you even say that? I mean, he's the top HOA attorney in the country. He's been teaching this at universities for years.
Well, I think what the feeling was is there's some questions on some of the amendments that were made and if they were not made properly. And if Neil thinks that they're made properly, he'll explain why. The problem I've got with that is he's going to tell us the same thing he's told us before. So I think it would behoove us to get a second opinion on another attorney that says why they're wrong. Okay?
And why they may be wrong. They may say they're perfectly fine.
It may be perfectly fine. Now, if we can get another attorney to say they're wrong and here's why, now we've got an issue. Okay, so that now going too much over here, because we're starting it over, do we want to have Neil to come here to a special board meeting? Does anyone want to make a motion to do that?
I'm sorry, say it again?
Trish, do you want to make a motion to have Neil McCullough, or a representative like McCullough, come to the community and talk to all the residents in a special board meeting?